Hello everyone, my name is Tom Oathoudt. Welcome to Claris Engage. Today we're going to discuss real-world applications of Claris Connect. Before we get started, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am an independent developer that's been working with the Claris platform for about 7 years. I have a wonderful family, 2 great kids, and an amazing wife. Our family hobby is traveling. With that, let's jump into what we're going to cover today. Real-world applications. We want to talk about what Claris Connect is and how it applies to you and your business. This is not a technical session. We're not going to discuss the nuts and bolts of how this all goes together. We're going to focus on how Claris Connect can help you and your business. We're going to focus on a few examples to really explain what the results can be and how you can improve the workflows in your company. And that is really the design of Claris Connect, to improve workflows and to let your company run smoother. Let's take a moment to define what a workflow really is. A workflow is a defined process of steps that completes a task. In Claris Connect, this is simply referred to as a flow. Now we have that dry definition out of the way. We understand it. Workflows are important. And you already have existing workflows in your business, even if you don't realize it already. Let's take a look at a few example workflows that may exist in a typical business. Let's start with an analog workflow. For a retail store, a customer comes into the retail store, they find some merchandise they want to purchase, they bring it to the cash register. This triggers the checkout workflow. The merchandise is presented to the cashier enters them into the cash register through some sort of POS system, and then the customer pays and the change is given back to the customer and they can leave with their merchandise. This is a very simple analog workflow. A more digital workflow would be something like sending your customers a verification email when you've received their order. As you can see, there are any number of processes that you can define as a workflow. These workflows are important to your business, and I'm sure you've already tried to improve some of those workflows with checklists or paper forms. This helps you speed up the process and reduce confusion. Human error in any sort of workflow is definitely not something you want, but it happens all the time. Let's look at a couple examples of workflows that have gone wrong. A sales representative fills out a paper lead sheet on a new potential client. That lead sheet is passed to an administrative assistant. The administrative assistant enters all of that information into an internal database, and that is used by a sales manager to reach out to these new potential clients and explain to them all the services that you can offer. This all works well most of the time, but when the sales representative doesn't make a legible phone number on the sheet, the administrative assistant needs to run across the office or make some phone calls and track down the sales representative and make sure that the phone number is correct. Maybe that's discernible, and maybe it's not. When the administrative assistant enters the information into the internal database, there's a mistake there. A customer is noted as Mr. instead of Mrs. The address is incorrect. The zip code is wrong. A mailing goes to the wrong place. The communication stops. Maybe the sales manager reaches out and with the bad information makes the company look bad. This is one example of a simple workflow that can go wrong at many levels. Well, that was an interesting example. You may say, well, that's never happened to us. But I think we've all had incidents where we've had it happen to ourselves, or we've heard of someone who's done it, where the price sheet or the invoice got emailed to the wrong customer. You sent a PO to the wrong vendor. Maybe you've sold something you didn't actually have in stock, right? That happens. Maybe you shipped the thing you sold to the wrong location. Employees may have acted on old information because they didn't get the latest updates. While these things sound simple, they do happen all the time, And this is where Claris Connect can really help your business. Claris Connect can help automate these things so that they don't become problems and then they work seamlessly and effectively every single time. So we know Claris Connect can help automate your workflows and improve your business. But how does it do what it does? And what is it exactly? Claris Connect is a cloud-based integration service. Basically, that means that it takes your online web services and connects them together, so that when something happens in your email service or your online CRM, actions can happen in your social media accounts, your customer support platforms, text message services, marketing and transactional email, online payment services, and so many more. Now that we know a bit more about what Claris Connect is and how it works, let's do a quick walkthrough on how easy it is to get started with Claris Connect. The first thing you'll need is a Claris ID. This is a simple ID to manage your Claris Connect account. It's based on your email. It's available on the Claris website. After that, we'll take a look at the basic interface inside Claris Connect. Once you've filled in the few simple fields with your information, you'll be able to log in to the Claris Customer Console. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll get in here and we'll review and accept the terms of service. These are all very important terms. We'll scroll through it really quickly, but I know everyone's going to read all of these because they're really important. Eventually, we get all the way down at the bottom. You'll see Sophia's signature. Just go ahead and click I agree, and then we'll continue. Now that we've logged into Claris Connect, we have some places to go. We've got teams, we've got subscriptions. Let's just get right into Claris Connect. And there's another license agreement. I'm sure we'll all read those in agreement terms as well. So we're looking at our login screen. We've got projects, which we don't have one yet. There's some starter templates that give you some options that if you want to do something like work with DocuSign to Slack, FormStack to MailChimp, all of these things are here and they're preset connectors so that you can very quickly integrate these workflows without having to go through a lot of setup. Let's go ahead and start a new project. Just click Create New, and we'll call this one First Project. All right, we're on our way. Let's create a new flow. This will be First Flow. All right, now we're looking at all the connectors that are available. You'll see that some of the connectors are grayed out, and that's because these cannot activate as a trigger. They can only activate as an action. They are segmented into artificial intelligence, business intelligence, collaboration, content management, and so on. You can see there are a lot of very useful applications here that I'm sure you're familiar with, and you may already be using some of these in your business. CRMs are always important. Developer tools. Here's where we have Claris FileMaker Server. We've got document signature applications, email. There's no lack of email applications. And these are forms for online forms, payment gateways, photo and video, real-time notifications, and last but not least is social media. So this is a general overview of what connectors are currently available. Claris is always adding more connectors to Claris Connect. This is the webhook, and this is a very interesting connector because it allows you to connect with web applications that do not already have a connector available inside Claris Connect. This opens up all kinds of options to connect with so many web applications on the internet. We're not going to get into actually building these flows right now. I think we've had a good first look at the Claris customer console and logging into Claris Connect and getting a good idea of what's there. You now have a good overview of how the Claris Connect website works, how to set up a flow, and get started. It's easy enough that you could do this yourself. If you needed help, you could ask your IT department, you could look to a Claris partner for assistance, or you could look at any independent developer that understands web technologies. Any one of these people can do it, and it is a fairly simple task to do. Okay, we're ready to get into some actual real-world implementations using Claris Connect. I think that when you first get started doing your first flow, you'll probably start with something that's just a single service integrated with another service. For this example, I'm going to use ActiveCampaign, which is a contact management system based in the cloud, and we're going to work with that and connect it to Google Sheets. The integration that we're really going to look at with ActiveCampaign is the new subscriber. When someone subscribes to be on an email list, but you may not want to give everyone in your organization the credentials for ActiveCampaign. You want them to be able to see the email list, but you want to keep them out of this specialized tool that may be for management only. And you want to be able to provide your organization with a list of the email contacts in a Google Sheet. So that's the workflow you're really trying to optimize. Let's take a look at what this involves if you're not using Claris Connect. You'll gather subscribers into various email lists inside ActiveCampaign. You'll need to log into the ActiveCampaign account and manually download those contacts, and you'll have to manually put them into a spreadsheet. This doesn't sound that bad, but in this process of exporting and importing, it's very easy to duplicate entries. That's really not something that you want to do. So as you can see, there's a lot of work here. You have to log in, export data, move it over to a Google Sheet, import that data in, clean out any duplicates you may have, and then it's ready to use. Now let's consider how this would work using Claris Connect and how this moves from the subscription form into the Google Sheet. We'll just enter in a first name here. We'll just use the simple Jane Doe. We'll use the same email address for everything today. All right. And we'll go ahead and submit that. Once we've submitted the form, we'll jump over and check the email and see where we're at there. It looks like we've got our email. We'll go ahead and confirm the subscription. When we confirm the subscription, that's when Claris knows that we're going to go ahead and add this person to the list. We have Jane Doe, add our email, added right to this Google Sheet. So this will give you a running as they're added list that your staff can use to look at, but not have access to ActiveCampaign and all the other features that are there for advertising and contact management, but they will be able to see the names and email addresses of the people they may need to interact with while doing their job. And this doesn't have duplication because each email is already managed by ActiveCampaign to only be used once. So there's no need to filter out any sort of duplicates from an importing process. As you can see, this is a very simple but still very useful real-world example of how Claris Connect can improve a workflow. In this example, we're going to take a look at a really simple cloud integration with Claris Connect. We're going to set the stage with you are using Calendly to allow your customers or clients to schedule time with your staff. You are using HubSpot as a CRM, It's a very popular CRM. I'm sure many people are already using that. And you're using Twilio for programmable SMS management, right? So Twilio sends text messages for you. How do you manage this process without Claris Connect? So you manage this process pretty manually. When an event is scheduled with Calendly, you need to go look at your emails or log into your Calendly account, pull out each scheduled item, figure out that, okay, well, the minimum to schedule an appointment with Calendly is a name and an email address. So now that you need the phone number, you need to jump over to HubSpot and look up that phone number. Then once you've manually gathered the information from Calendly, you have the phone number from HubSpot. Now you're in a spot where you need to send a text message, but there's no way to really manually do that easily with any of the text message cloud services, right? And if you did have a service that allowed it, you would have to log into that site and you'd have to manually copy and paste that information and build that message and click a send button. So it becomes a little complicated and very time consuming. Okay, that's a bit of a process. And it's a lot of labor hours of somebody manually logging into Calendly and pulling out the information that they need. So let's look at how this works with Claris Connect. With Claris Connect, we're able to automatically have the information from Calendly is managed by Claris Connect. It takes the email address that was provided through the Calendly registration. It looks at HubSpot and says, HubSpot, I know you know who this person is because this scheduling service is something that we only offer a link to for existing customers. I need their phone number. HubSpot sends the phone number back to Claris Connect. Then Claris Connect takes the phone number combined with the information from Calendly, packages that into a nice text message, and sends it off to your customer. And this is done. This is hands off. Your company, your staff didn't do anything. The only thing that really happened is your customer scheduled time with Calendly, and then they received a text message. This happens within seconds. It's really fast. Let's take a quick look at how fast it really is. We're here looking at the 15-minute meeting. Someone's going to schedule the 15-minute meeting. We'll just pick a date. And as far as time goes, I think after coffee, but before lunch, 10 a.m. We'll confirm that and just put in a name here. And we'll put in an email address. We don't have any special things to say, but we'll just schedule the event. And now it's done. After a few seconds, trust me, this really happens, but we're not using any live phone numbers here today. They probably are receiving a text message right now. That's it. You're done. This happens without your interaction, and it happens reliably every single time. You don't mix up the wrong dates and times. You don't send text messages to the wrong phone numbers. This really takes a lot of human error out of the process and just does this seamlessly. You offer a great service and value add with this without any interaction. Just happens. This is the powerful webhook. It doesn't look like much, but this is one of the most versatile tools that Claris Connect offers. The webhook gives you the opportunity to connect services that don't already have a connector in Claris Connect, but it also gives you the ability to interact with services that have a connector in Claris Connect, but maybe it's not a full-featured connector, and the web service supports a few things that you want to use, but Claris Connect hasn't fully integrated all those features yet. The webhook allows you to use just about every feature from every service on the web. There's a little bit of a learning curve with using these in that you will need to understand a general overview of how communication with web services and Claris Connect work. You'll need a little bit of information on how JSON works. And JSON is just JavaScript object notation. It essentially means that we're going to put some curly braces and a message or some kind of data in quotes, and we'll have an identifier that identifies what that information is. In this case, we're using the message, "Thank you for participating in Claris Engage," and we're noting that that is a message. It's a very simple thing. How do we use it? When your web services need to send information, they need a place to send it to. This URL is something that you create in Claris Connect. And then Claris Connect is there, waiting, listening for all this information to come in and process it for you. So you would just use this URL. This is a very simple implementation. If we just refresh this page, this is what happens when you've turned on the authentication. So when you're using the security features and you enter these URLs, you're just going to get back the error message that this is not information that you're authorized to see. So if we jump back over to Webhooks and we'll take a look at this one, we can turn authentication off and we'll run back over to the flow and we'll try this again and we get the message. So this is the security at work. The core piece of this is a web service sends information into Claris Connect, and then Claris Connect can manipulate it. It can turn that information around and send it to a number of other web services, and then one that gets back data that feeds another one that feeds another one. And in the end, because this happens so quickly, the original service may send you some information and expect some sort of response back. You're going to be able to process all of that data very quickly and then send the response back that it's waiting for. This is an extremely powerful tool to use. And we're not going to get into very detailed examples of how to use the webhook or very complicated integrations using the webhook. But I think it's very important to explain to you that the webhook is here and it's a very powerful tool that you can learn about and use in Claris Connect. All right, we've seen quite a bit of things with Claris Connect already, some pretty simple examples. In this example, we're going to step it up a bit and we're going to run through leveraging Claris Connect to do a lot of things in a very efficient manner. And we're going to interact with a number of different systems. We're going to do some logic to split data. It's all going to be great. You're going to like this, but there's a lot of content. So I just want to get through it as quickly as possible. Setting the background, we're going to say that you have FormStack. FormStack is a online form service. You have a backend MySQL product, some sort of database that you need to store contact information in that system. Depending on whose report you read, I think they all agree that upwards of 90% of the databases on the web are running MySQL. This is an actual realistic example here. What we're going to do is we're going to have some potential clients who are filling out a form after they've spoken with one of your sales representatives on the phone. It's going to just have them give a rating if they were happy, neutral, or unhappy. We're going to take that information, run with it, and we're going to be able to manage a Google Sheet where that information lands on a single page for each sales representative. Without Claris Connect, you're running FormStack. And when you want to pull that information out, you likely have to go log into your FormStack account, export all of that information. Then you'll use that to be imported into MySQL, and you'll hand copy and paste the information directly out of the CSV and put that into the Google Sheets. When that's all wrapped up and you want to send your customer an email thanking them for their review and taking their time to do that, it's probably been hours, if not more than 24 hours, before you actually get that email sent back to them. That's a long time. We want to be able to get your potential leads and let them know that you're really paying attention to them and you're trying to be interactive. That's what it looks like without Claris Connect. So you've got a lot of time exporting, importing, copy, paste, manually creating emails. The amount of human error that can be in there is pretty vast, very time-consuming process. Now that we understand what that is without Claris Connect, let's look at what it is with Claris Connect. With Claris Connect, you deploy the form stack form. Your customers interact with that. Claris Connect handles everything. It writes to the database. It determines which worksheet in the Google Sheet actually gets the information based on which sales representative was selected on the form. And it also follows that up by sending a thank you email. If we walk through the steps here, we get the new form submission. We have to set our database name. Like, these are things we're not really going to get into, but just so you have a decent idea, this is really simple stuff to fill in. What we're looking at here is a list of records in a database. And this is PHP-MyAdmin. It's very popular. We're just going to use this to look at the example. This could be any database. This is just an interface so that we can see that Claris Connect is actually doing what it should be doing. This is our Google Sheet. And in the Google Sheet, we're just storing the first name, last name, and their satisfaction rating. In the database, we're storing the first name, last name, sales representative ID, and an email address. Let's jump over. Right here is our form stack form. We'll get started with that. Get a name in here. We'll just put in Jane Doe. Put in the email address. And I was happy with Bill. Nothing too exciting, but he did a great job. Let's look at the Google Sheet. We hit submit form. This is real time. I haven't done any sort of video magic. So a couple of seconds, we've got Jane Doe has left a happy rating for Bill. Okay. Since we know that we got the email, let's jump right over here to our email. And there we go. This is just a standard SendGrid email template. This happened pretty immediately. Will spoke with Frank, and he was slightly unhappy, right? We will submit that form, right? And then let's go look at Frank over here. And we'll say that Anne spoke with Jane, and she was very happy. So we'll submit this form. We will jump over to Jane, and this is fast, right? Like, this happens on the fly immediately. Let's jump over and check the email. So we've got this here. This email that just came in for Anne 0 minutes ago. We did it that fast. Claris Connect did this. And wait, this will have to hit refresh. All along the while, all of these entries have been going into the MySQL database. In this sort of blink of an eye, your customer is able to fill out a form. That information gets sent into your MySQL backend database. It's sent to your Google Sheets where your management can review how those things are going. The small kicker at the end is they get an email that says, hey, thanks. We've seen some real-world implementations of how to use Claris Connect. Now let's talk about why Claris Connect is a great choice when you're looking at cloud-based integration services. Claris Connect offers some distinct advantages. It's very easy to use, and you can quickly create the powerful automated workflows that your business needs. Claris Connect offers live workflows with real-time data, where other services may have you waiting up to 15 minutes to process your workflow after it's triggered. Claris does this immediately every single time. There are numerous connectors available in Claris Connect, and Claris is adding new connectors all the time. With Webhooks, you're not limited to services that already have a connector. The great functional features of Claris Connect are not the only advantage that it has. The support that Claris offers with Claris Connect is exceptional. Support is available directly from Claris. You have the option to take a look at the Claris Academy, where you can learn all about Claris Connect and other technologies like Claris FileMaker. There is an online Claris community that's filled with many individuals that have lots of experience with Claris Connect, and it's free support that's available 24/7 from an amazing community. Pricing is another place where Claris Connect has a clear advantage. The pricing is very favorable. There's a tier for organizations of all sizes, and there's discounts for education and nonprofit organizations. We've covered a lot of information about Claris Connect. Let's summarize what we've discussed so far. We know that organizations of all sizes have workflows, and we know that automating those workflows with Claris Connect will improve productivity. Claris also offers exceptional support and resources for Claris Connect. I hope that this has inspired you to consider what online workflows could be automated within your organization. I want to thank you for taking your time to learn more about Claris Connect.